Hi, my name is Mario Alves. I'm here on behalf of aixigo at the Digital Integration in Wealth Management virtual event. Let's talk about redefining cash flow planning today. But I'd like to start with something else. I guess most of you know the guy on the left-hand side. It's Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon. Some roughly 15, 17 years ago, he sent out an email to all Amazon employees. His first point was that all teams will have to expose their data and functionality through service interfaces. And he ended on, anyone who doesn't do this will be fired. Now, why do I start with that API paradigm of Amazon? It was the pivotal moment in IT architecture that, from my point of view, led to service-oriented architectures and to the evolution of APIs. And I'm sure you're all aware of APIs. And that discussion is now being brought toward the wealth management space, where firms are thinking about if they want to embrace your typical monolithic, large-scale admin solution with everything attached to it, or going for a simple solution service where just one typical thing is being managed, not integrated, not interacting with the rest. And this is why I state that buying a solution might be the road to long-term failure. But what's the alternative? A couple of words about aixigo. We've been founded some roughly 20 years ago as part of the Aachen University in Germany. And we started with behavioral finance, focusing on customer-facing solutions, trying to think about which psychological effects and psychological decisions need to be taken to build solutions that are valuable to the customer and that will deliver informed decisions that will make the customer not happy for that one time, but over years. And so we've been building loads of things, helping customers, helping firms. 5 years ago, we started to take all those capabilities and put that into one API for wealth management platform to deliver those core capabilities to our customers. Well, as this is a mostly UK event, we are in the UK market since 2019, and we started this because we had a strategy of building a new cash flow planning system because we see a huge demand across over Europe for this. And we have chosen as a starting point the UK market because we thought of, to all that regulation that is there and to all the possibilities that are there, if we can make it there, we can make it anywhere. We were happy enough to find Hargreaves Lansdown as our first flagship customer. And this is the press release from 2019 where they state why they've chosen aixigo. I've included that in the presentation. You might read that for yourself. To that point, our WealthTech Beliefs led us. And as you can see, there is a $6 million man on the right-hand side of that slide. The $6 million man was the bionic man from the 70s that the cinema created to show the influence of technology and mankind. And it was their perfect human being optimized by technology. Today in wealth management, I believe that the best combination of human and machine capabilities is indefinite. Or better, it needs to be defined, it needs to be decided by the firm in reflectance of their customers, of their situation, and of the proposition they want to make. Because one of their values is that WealthTech needs to serve the customer and thereby the firm. If we are not about the financial well-being of customers as WealthTech, we are not delivering the value necessary for our customers. To do so, we've decided to focus on the wealth management core services, self-directed, advice, discretionary, because these are unique disciplines, very hard to manage, very hard to keep pace with regulation, but also with the markets. So we don't interfere with customer relationship management or other things that are helping, because they are only helping with getting customers or staying in touch, but not with the performance. And we believe that the wealth management performance is the ultimate viewpoint where a customer decides if his experience as a customer is being met in the way that he expects it. So we'll see that customer experiences as very individual, however a crucial part, and we want to build and deliver the engines, the motor behind those experiences. This is why we claim for ourselves to drive the new wealth experience. To allow this, we provide institutions with rapid starts possibilities, with processes that are pre-thought but not fixed. We think that cloud solutions are very efficient, but great technology should run everywhere. And one of our firmest beliefs is that accessible standard capabilities are superior to standard solutions. Now, what does that mean in reflections of cash flow planning? If you're looking for a better cash flow planning, you might want to look at one of those three options. On the one hand side, you've got your software as a service, on-prem, standard solution you can buy. These solutions will be easy to shop, because if you evaluate them, you can evaluate the functionality very easily. Well, it's there to see. On the other hand side, these solutions are very often limited in the way that they can flexibly integrate or use them. And a real individualization in terms of your needs is most of the time not efficient, because that will be in contradiction to the business model of your partner. The other way would be, well, let's check out our administration platform. Maybe they have something for us. You can guess for a good integration. Well, mostly, I've seen differently. And it's easy to try out, thus very easy to evaluate. On the other hand side, it's very optimistic to think that one can have everything very good, that everyone can do. Now, coming to this, there might be the question where you can find the capabilities that you might need to build your perfect cash flow solution. On the one hand side, you could turn towards your typical software as a service, on-premise standard solution. Such a solution is very easy to shop, because you have a very low functionality risk if you properly evaluate the thing. On the other hand side, a deep integration or flexible use is limited, because that is in contradiction to the business model. And even more is to have a real individualization, which will never be efficient, not for you and not for your partner. You could also ask your administration platform what they've got in store for you, and you can count on a good integration. Well, most of the times, I've seen differently. This is easy to try out, thus you can easily evaluate what's in it for you. On the other hand side, no one can do everything in the best way. So it's possibly that you might not find the best-in-class functionality that you've been looking for. And for sure, as is part of a wider platform, you will have very limited individualization possibilities. So if you want to have it individual, you need to build it individually. Is this the choice? In that way, you can have all the bells and whistles that you're looking for if you have the budget. You can have a deep integration, horizontally and vertically. But mostly, these are very risky projects with a high demand of conceptualizing things that we would all consider as standards. And one should not forget, you are not an IT firm. You are not a vendor. You are a financial service firm. Should you take all the future development risks, changing platforms, changing technologies, changing browser, whatever comes up? Well, it's up for you to decide, but I think these risks should have been taken into account. So there seems to be no flawless solution. I have an alternative. That alternative is what I will call the new WealthTech option. In WealthTech, wealth management platforms are on the rise. These wealth management platforms can be considered. And on the left-hand side, I've written down a couple of arguments that you check for. Search for a solid but modular capability stack to serve the demands of all your core propositions, today and in the future. These capabilities should be made available through easy-to-use variable API, favorably REST APIs, because that's the standard to go for. Thought-through process templates for different forms of advice should allow you to adopt rapidly. And as you will be using APIs, all your channels can use the same capabilities through those APIs, which delivers an outstanding multi-channel service experience by DNA. If it is a great wealth management platform, it will have best-in-class integration platforms to also adopt third-party capabilities, because there might be that special something that you want to have on that platform and that is not part of the platform. So it's not this or nothing, or this and something else. But to allow this, search for a platform that has an API-first development and delivery strategy, because API also is simply not enough. API also means to me that you have a system that is being developed from the front end, and then an API is also exposed. This simply will not deliver the same flexibility as an API-first approach. So what's the point in all of this? And if you look at cash flow planning nowadays, we can see that customers' lives are very complicated. From the personal situation to retirement plans, to loans and liabilities or assets and investments, there is a lot to consider, and it's not easy to discuss this. Well, it's not as complicated as UK taxation and pension regulations, but it's really still complicated. And if we, as WealthTech, want to serve the financial well-being of customers, there is a need for holistic, interactional, continuous cash flow and personal event-driven financial planning that can be understood by every customer, avoiding being too simple or too complicated. Now, what do I mean by that? I truly believe that cash flow planning will be redefined, and it will be redefined by wealth management platforms. Wealth management platforms will deliver you the capability to be holistic on the one hand side, and I will explain on that a bit later. Interactional, crossing channels, event-driven, take everything into consideration, and continuous. Holistic, in my sense, means that you, on the one hand side, consider everything that influences your cash flow, from your income, on your investments, your loans, your protection level, up to your asset situation. And to combine all this, we need to consider reallocation rules, where I propose that you will define them together with your planning experts. I think it is crucial that you take into account the best practices of the people already planning for you and put that into your system, delivering that out. Because that will be your achievements, your knowledge, your experience towards your advisors and your customers. Also, I think it's very important that you gather what your firm already has or needs to do a proper analysis. And so holistic not only means a holistic cash flow planning experience, but also holistic in terms of put together everything we know about the customer and about cash flow planning and bringing that towards our customers. We think that interactional is very important. If you look at the systems available today, you have your typical client-style solutions, mostly very simplistic, and you have your typical advisor-style solutions, mostly quite complicated. And first of all, we think there is a lot of gray area between those two opposites. The right position needs to be found by the specific firm. Sometimes you will decide on one position for the client view and another position for the advisor view, but what we think is very important is that you are free to decide. But if you build the client view on cash flow planning and the advisor view on cash flow planning on the same wealth management platform through using APIs, you will instantaneously profit from that by having zero difference between the solutions provided to the customer. And this delivers large benefits because customer and advisor will look at the same situation. They can interact together on things. The advisor can carry out activities on behalf of the customer, but the customer can also prepare meetings for a better experience through enabling. You'll put the client in the real driver's seat, or if he wants to sit on the back seat, he can take his place there. Typical functionalities that we think should be incorporated in the client view are risk profiling and an overview of the investments, a view on likelihood KPIs, which I will explain later, portfolio analytics and portfolio key figures, possibilities to deposit and withdraw money, and of course all the customer data. Doing this by using that kind of technology will ultimately bring you to the point where the customer and the advisor are on the same side. It is not the clever advisor and the customer asking for things. It is customer and advisor working on eye level. Now, I've already mentioned event-driven. And event-driven are the most important thing for us to deliver a what-if planning. And our belief, a what-if planning is not a market crash or a situation like 2000 or something else. But a what-if planning is the customer thinks about life events, about things that will happen in life, and will then asking for advice. And to give advice, we need to find out what a specific event will mean to his cash flow planning. One can categorize these events into three areas. One are your typical life things in terms of when do I want to retire, what are my pension plans, is there a kid or are there kids who want to go to university and need some financial help with that? Do I need to consider maybe serious illnesses, even death situations where I want to see what does that mean now for my planning? Maybe unemployment, maybe inheritance. There are also financial things to consider. The mentioned market crash is a thing. I think we all remember the March last year when the markets went down, and some of us might have thought, well, what will happen when the markets stay as low as this for a longer time? Happily, we had a different situation. But you also want to discuss about what will happen when I switch products, maybe changing from an ISA to a DB or whatever. When these product switches occur, things will move differently, taxation changes, and this delivers differences in the future planning. How will loans and liabilities will develop over time? What will happen when incapacities occur? And then there is your real life, not only your plans for the future, your financial situations, but you want to have some fun with your money. Me, myself, I'm looking forward to buying an RV when I will retire and explore Europe. You might want to buy a boat or a condominium in Mallorca. So these life events, this everything else, these are things we cannot pre-prepare. So we think that the cash flow planning solution should be able to model event types like the customer wants them to see. And we think that should be very flexible. Meaning that you either can decide for one-time or regular influences on the cash flow, costing money, bringing money, that it be statical or dynamical, when you have growth or decreasing amounts. Using this, we'll develop a cash flow planning. And what you can see here is the comparison of two plans. Below you'll find your starting plan, that's how it looked when we started it. And above you can see a plan revised by introducing certain events to the cash flow situation. And if you do this, I'm very optimistic that you will deliver a one-time advice which is very good. With the same system, you can do yearly checks. Well, this is what we've planned, this is what has changed, these are the amounts that we have taken from the systems, so this is how it looks like. But even more exciting would be if you could provide your customer with a daily situation update whenever the customer wants to see it. I think that's an exciting factor, bringing a service experience towards the customer, engaging with him, creating customer loyalty. And the beauty of it is you actually have nothing to do, because as you have been using an API-based approach to deliver the system, you can now use the same APIs to do that simulation multiple times, practically daily, to deliver likelihood KPIs on your cash flow planning, on each and every goal, on the whole of the goals, however you would like to see them. And these likelihood KPIs can then be transferred to a customer app with zero marginal costs, because that calculating time really costs nothing, and you will provide it to your customer in this app. So this delivers great engagement. But are there more advantages of using a wealth management platform other than your standard cash flow planning system? I think yes. Most cash flow planning will recommend protection levels and investment amounts based on set growth and yield rates. This is actually a taxation allowance and liquidity optimization that has been done. But when you build your cash flow system utilizing a wealth management platform, this should allow you to consider a very finely tuned asset class allocation, also considering maybe private equity or individual rates of return at risk, rebalancing mechanisms that automatically will rebalance portfolios in terms of a discretionary portfolio management, and risk monitoring methodologies giving you proper methodologies to steer that portfolio for your customer with a high amount of optimization. All that being said that the platform contains a modern portfolio management system. That should be expected from a wealth management platform. And this delivers a cube of, on the one hand side, having a view on which layers of products you want to use and what you will be putting into these wrappers, what kind of instruments you will be using. Now, this is where we come to play. We have developed that large wealth management platform delivering over 100 capabilities for wealth management. And this has allowed us to deliver risk management, portfolio management, advisory, and online channel solutions all over Europe and now in the United Kingdom. We have a large reference base of customers that use different solutions. And so I'd like to welcome you to discuss your next challenge with us and to find out how we serve those very different clients and how we can serve you in the future. Thank you very much. I am Mario Alves and I'd like to see you on the event. Bye-bye.